Mic check. Duen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
All right, so go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the open discussion. I apologize, I'm a bit sick this weekend, so I'll be doing a lot of talking.
Have you tested?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm not. It's just a cold. It's a cold. All right, so we'll start with our open discussion today. You can feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat, and we'll get those answered for you, either via Zoom or YouTube. Or if you're joining us in Zoom, you can use the raise hand feature and ask your question directly. So do we have any questions available? Ready? Anyone have any questions? Good. Are there any questions so far? Any questions yet? Oh, Nima, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I'm gonna put a picture of the Aether Society logo. I'm sharing it. I had a question about it, about its meaning. Um, Dr. King said it meant God manifesting itself as wisdom. I was wondering if you'd be able to go into a little bit more about the meaning of those two symbols and why he put them together in that way.
Um, the symbol, you have that's the AUM symbol that with the triangle. And the triangle, the AUM, of course, represents the creative sound from God. And within the creative sound, you have all knowledge, all wisdom, all power comes through the creative sound from the absolute, which is the endless potential of everything. And then the triangle represents the greatest expression of God. And like my father told me, take time to concentrate and contemplate on that. And you'll be fascinated when you look at what the triangle is used for, and how the triangle intertwines with life, with architectural, with engineering, with practically everything. So I mean, I think those two symbols come together. It makes sense to say that. It makes sense for the statement that he made, which manifests in the wisdom of God.
Sometimes the upward triangle is also used to depict evolution, and sometimes the downward triangle is involution. Is that
Well,
correct?
it doesn't matter how you put the triangle, it always expresses some form of manifestation. And in manifestation, you have positive, negative, and neutral. And that's the thing that brings forth anything in manifestation on any level of any existence. And that's the three points of the triangle. Just like you have the Trinity, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, what some people would say. It's always there, So you always have this triangle expressing itself in all manifestation of life.
And how does the meaning change when the AUM is placed within the triangle?
Because it's just like he said, it's manifesting wisdom. The AUM, when you think about the AUM, what do you think about? You think about the creative word, right?
Right.
And this creative word is leaving the absolute. And when it leaves the endless, when you have that, you have complete silence, complete stillness, complete static. There's nothing. There's no movement. There's nothing. And then all of a sudden the sound comes, and it breaks the silence for a moment. And when it breaks that silence for a moment, it opens the door to this endless potential from the absolute. So, but inside the intelligent configuration of that sound is this Trinity force, is this law, this wisdom. They described it as Vinani in the ancient teachings. That's what Vak brought forth first. Vijnana, which is wisdom, but that wisdom comes as the intelligent movement for everything. Everything must move in an intelligent way. And then that becomes the background or the matrix in which Chitta will work, which is mind substance, which is universal mind. And the Nani, the Chitta, becomes the background for prana, how prana would work. And then the last fourth principle of Shakti, which is Amana, or the way Dr. George King described it, was love, this love energy. It will also work in the matrix of the Nani and the Chitta and the prana, and they would work in accordance with love as well, because love is the sustaining power of creation. We live by the grace of the masters, or by the grace of God. So the love energy propels the cycle from the absolute back to the absolute. So the last power that's released is the greatest power. But it's all based on intelligent movement. It's all based on wisdom. And that is the 4 principles of Shakti.
And intelligent is defined as moving according to law, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Remember, I told you, Jnana Yoga and Kama Yoga is one yoga.
Right, right.
It's split up so that our weak and fragile mind can understand it. Because you cannot have action without law. See, and you cannot have wisdom without law. So it's one and the same. If you move, you must move according to law. And the movement of the absolute is supreme intelligence. So I think that's why he stated that. He stated that it's the manifestation of wisdom. It's God's manifestation of wisdom.
So then can you, I know you answered it before. Can you briefly go into the significance of the change in the AUM from transmigration to transmutation?
Mm-hmm. That's in the 9 freedoms, and and I think Dr. King, I would tell everybody to go and get the album, The 9 Freedoms from the Theory Society. It's about 9 lectures that Dr. George King gave, verbal commentaries on the 9 freedoms. And in there, he goes into so much, and he covers so much ground that it's really, you could probably write an encyclopedia on what he talked about in those 9 to 10 lectures. You can do a series of books because he unravels the ancient knowledge in simple to understand English, which most people cannot do and don't see. And he make it so simple that you overlook it. When on your first listen, your second listen, your third listen, it's not until you begin to read other books or the ancient teachings and come back and listen to him that you say, oh, wait a minute, this is what he was talking about. Because he make it that simple that you would overlook, and many people overlook it, they don't realize it. The Mars Sector 6 gave a dissertation on the AUM and how in ancient times they talked about transmigration, how we have to go through all these different cycles of reincarnation in order to reach enlightenment and this and that, and Mars Sector 6 corrected that and said, you have to transmute all your actions. Now, when you have an action, there's always a reaction. And the result of that reaction is a release of energy into the universe, into the space or the org structure and the environment that you gain your experience in. Well, the Mile Sector 6 stated that we actually have to transmute that energy into a higher energy in order to move on, in order to progress. And essentially it makes sense because that's what takes us millions of years or millions of lifetimes to evolve. So it's essential that we gain control over ourselves. Like the first limb of yoga tell us is yama, is control. And just like the 9 freedoms tell us that the first freedom is bravery. Because in order to be brave, you must bring control over your mind, body, and emotions and everything. So it makes plenty of sense.
And just for quick explanation, everyone, what I'm referring to is the AUM diagram laid out in the 9 freedoms, where you have the A at the top of the triangle, representing creation, the U at the say bottom left of the triangle, representing preservation, and the M at the bottom right of the triangle, going back up to the top. Used to represent transmigration, but was since changed to transmutation. And then Mars Sector 6. Are there any questions? King, who is it that you said you've been trying to get in contact with? If you want to reach us, you can reach out to us via email. Mystic Knowledge Center, one word, at gmail.com. I have a question here. Is it possible to alter your destiny?
Of course it is. You alter your destiny every minute of your life. Every time you make an action, every time you think, complete an action, you alter your destiny. That's why in the 8 limbs of yoga, they stress control your actions, your thoughts and your actions, and then modify your thoughts and actions to include and to observe God in everything you do. That's why those yama and niyama is the first steps in yoga.
I know you said in the past what the fourth dimension looks like, but what does the fifth dimension environment look like?
What do they mean by that? The fourth dimension is just time. I don't know what they mean by that.
Viper, what do you mean by dimension? Are you referring to a realm? Another question, how can we channel a deity so that it can help us manipulate the forces of nature? Because I do fire meditation and I was able to somehow control the fire with my mind.
First, first you need to control your thoughts and actions and gain control of your emotions before you enter into those type of elemental type practices, because you can hurt yourself. So it's best to get the basics before you dabble into those things.
Can you speak on the abilities of manifesting with the mind as in the emerald tablets of Thoth?
No, I don't really know that much about the embryo tablets. Tell me about them. What they, through history, people have described the embryo tablets in several different ways. So I look for concrete information. Means that we can connect the dots on. Do you know about the embryo tablets, Duen or Bernard?
No, I would need them to spell out the first part of the word.
The what?
I cannot hear the first part of the word. I just hear tablets at the end.
Oh,
The emerald tablets of Thoth. I know of them and I started reading them years ago, but I never finished reading it. It's supposed to be a series of texts that were channeled by some being claiming to be Thoth, an Egyptian deity.
yeah, but there was so many versions to that.
It said they're saying in the comment it's about the ancient days of Atlantis and how aliens came down and ruled over us. There are many audiobooks on YouTube. It's like a book by Joseph Rees.
But I don't think the aliens ruled over us. A lot of that stuff was recorded in the Vedas and the Upanishads of the four Vedases of the world, and they were recorded by the Tibetan masters who kept a lot of the records sealed for hundreds of thousands of years. So, you know, what really happened is that, to my understanding from reading and studying those things, that Atlantis was destroyed by the population going to war against each other, and what happened was, in both cases, Lemurius and Atlantis, that the cosmic beings or the bodhisattvas from other planets and other higher realms from other planets came to Earth and rescued a small population of Earth that didn't have that was innocent of a lot of the stuff that was going on. They wasn't completely innocent, but they were innocent to a certain degree, comically, where they can be removed from the Earth. And that's where you have, and it's depicted throughout history. The city of Shan was actually was actually a landing place for all the giant spacecrafts that came to protect that population at the time. And even in Africa and parts of India, they have built monuments towards the remembrance of that time. And these advanced beings, they won't rule over. They don't look to rule over mankind. So that's one big giant mistake. They work within the law of karma. They may guide mankind. They may teach mankind, but they don't look to rule over mankind. So in both incidents, in Lemurius, where 18,600,000 years ago, when man came here, about 3 to 4 million years later, maybe even longer. I think it was close to 6 to 8 million years later, he destroyed Lemurius, a civilization that he had built over millions of years. And then the cosmic beings had to step in and help to rescue mankind from himself. And then they slowly helped mankind rebuild himself. And Atlantis came about. And they destroyed Atlantis. The cosmic beings had to do the same thing, come in. And the great masters at the time, they split up. They took action to try to reserve history and try to maintain some type of order. The spiritual hierarchy of the earth, the ascended masters, they did the same thing, which led to the conditions we're in now. Africa was a great civilization in Lemurius and in Atlantis, and because of the way the world was the continents of this continent, Africa, and the nations of Africa. Most of them closed themselves off to the world. China did the same thing. They closed themselves off to the world. And they didn't allow anyone to come in. For millions of years, they didn't allow anyone outside of the place they closed off to enter because of the craziness that was the craziness going on Earth. And we can see the results of these great nations, these great continental nations close themselves out the world. It actually stopped the growth of the world and caused division, racism, all type of stuff. And but there again, the great masters or the so-called aliens, they did not rule over us. They only guided us. And there's ancient books written about this stuff. It's not a secret. And they talk about the advanced technology and everything. It's just a lot of people interpret it wrong, I think. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, follow up to the question that was asked about what the fourth and fifth dimension environment looks like. You said he said that you said the fourth looks like a dark, smoggy-like atmosphere. That's why you usually. That's why I usually bless your food. I never said
that. No. The fourth dimension is time, and I have several lectures where I describe that. Some people call the realms dimensions, and the realms are not dimension because every realm have at least 7 dimensions within it.
Maybe he's just thinking about the lower astral realms.
Yeah. It's not. I never call anything the fourth dimension. I believe in the 7 dimensions of creation, and the 7 dimensions of creation mean that anything that's manifested must have 7 dimensions to it. And I gave several different lectures on that. They talking about praying over your food. I said in this present, in this, on this physical plane, when you look at the mental realms or the psychic realms, you can see a gray mist everywhere. That's what they're talking about. Yes, that gray mist exists. Just take a second and look around, and you'll see the gray mist everywhere. Any other questions?
Does fasting play an important role in tapping into the higher realms?
With certain yoga practices, you are told to fast. And anytime you're doing your breathing, your pranayama exercises, you're actually to fast 2 hours before, 3 hours before, and 1 hour after. Then you are taught to fast on certain cycles of the moon. You're taught to eat on certain cycles of the moon and to fast on other cycles of the moon. So,
I think it's important also to note that fasting is something you use to, it's more of an enhancement as opposed to a base practice, in the sense that it can and will oftentimes greatly enhance your spiritual practices. But it's not something you can like do to become more spiritual in a sense. I think a lot of people become confused with that. But the real power of fasting isn't really, you really see it when you're really, really engaged and consistent with any of your spiritual practices, ranging from pranayama to mantra to even something simple as reading, advanced spiritual literature, because ultimately it's all about changing your vibrations. And so, food lowers your vibration because you're really not designed for it. And so every time you eat, you kill yourself at the same time, you poison yourself and you heal yourself. So I think fasting is it's more important to have the right approach in terms of what it can do to enhance what you're doing with your spiritual practices, as opposed to starting off thinking, well, let me fast and then breathe, then do pranayama, mantra, reading certain texts and stuff like that. But it is a fact, but it's also very difficult. Most people can't go 24 hours without food, much as days without food.
yeah, and some of the masters like Sivananda, he was also a doctor, Swami Sivananda, he spoke against fasting for long periods of time. So he said that's not good with most people. So if you, like some people like to fast for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 30 days, he spoke against that. He said you have to take nourishment, within that 12-hour waking period of the day. He even suggested to either drink or snack on something every 3 to 4 hours.
Is it necessary to add a secondary concentration practice on top of the main practices? And the main practice refers to as pranayama, mantra, etc.
Well, when people give those practices out publicly, most people do not add the root or the core of the practice, which is the visualization part of the practice. They usually give that through initiation. So it's very rare to have them give the concentration. The concentration component of visualization with the practice. Normally they just tell you how to breathe, how to sit, the mudra to use, while doing it, but they don't tell you the significance of the mudra, and they don't tell you the visualization part of that goes with that pranayama exercise. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of confusion come in at.
Do sorry. Do we really have to count 108 mantras, or is there a shortcut?
You have to count more than 108.
There are no shortcuts in
There's
spiritual
no
development.
shortcut. You have to count more than 100. Most people don't know that most Mali beads or rosary beads, it has a count of 108 beads on it. And that's because it's an ancient practice of chanting a mantra. When a person chant a mantra, a person have 108 chakras that we know about within the auric body of man, which is the auric or supreme body of the soul, which is the auric body is a supreme body of the soul. And mantra is the thing that helps synchronize our manifested existence. So when you chant a mantra, you chant that mantra 108 times when you're using the Mata beads, so that you place the mantra on each chakra. And then you should, in fact, in the count, when they count mantra, they count it by the rounds of the Mali. So if each round, they multiply that by 10, or multiply that by 100, or multiply that by 1,000, or multiply that by 10,000. So that's the way you're taught to actually chant the mantra traditionally. That when you say a mantra, you either say, if a mantra have 3 letters in it, you always chant the mantra 3 times. And when you utter that mantra, if the mantra has 8 letters in it, you make sure you chant it 8 times. If you're not going to chant it 108 times. So, I mean, those are just rules in mantra.
I didn't hear you, but did you explain why it's 108 in just that one instance, even though it could be?
Yeah, it's 108 because you have 108 chakras.
Okay.
You have 108 psychic centers in the body. So the practice is to keep chanting that mantra 108 times, and that becomes one session, to place the mantra on each chakra. And then you get to the point where when you can contemplate to a high degree, when you chant that mantra, you can synchronize the mantra and you can see the mantra being placed on each chakra in the body.
So
in your visions.
So let me ask you: does the same principle in general apply to seed mantras and petals?
Yes, that's what you're doing, because once you reach the meditative level, then you place the mantra on the petals instead of the chakras. On the contemplative level, on a concentrating contemplative level, you place the mantra on the chakras. In the meditative level, you place the mantra on the petals, on the BJs.
So is that part of the gradual unfolding, or almost like a self-initiation process? If you stick with it, those things are eventually revealed to you to unlock greater power with each, even though you're chanting the same mantra over and over again.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits. Remember the kilaka. Remember kilaka, right? Where you unlock the mantra.
Mm-hmm.
And when you unlock the mantra, you learn the power of the mantra, and you can begin to manipulate the energy of that mantra, and you have many visions come to you from chanting that mantra, which reveals the power of that mantra and reveals the mudra of that mantra. And then you can begin to manipulate and use that mantra the way you want it to be used.
It's so funny because the simplest thing about it is also the hardest thing about it. Repetition.
Repetition, yes. You know, they say japa, which is repetition of the mantra. If you chant the mantra repeatedly, then you will break the wheel of rebirth. That's what that means. That's what japa means, repetition of the mantra. You chant the mantra long enough and hard enough, and you will raise Kundalini, and you will ascend and break the wheel of rebirth, where you don't have to be unconsciously. That's what the Sanskrit word japa actually means.
A question here, how about writing a mantra? And what if you get distracted or stop counting? Do you have to start all over, or can you continue on?
You can continue on. It's not good to get distracted. So some people, you can write a mantra as well. And some people use that as a form of concentration, where they write and say the mantra at the same time. You know, but remember, you want to decrease physical movement and increase mental movement. You know, so, you know, you got to remember that. You know, the goal in any mystic practice that deals with psychic and spiritual development, your goal is to increase your physical movement, to move all the energy to the mental and psychic and spiritual levels. So that's why you have your mudras, or your, you know, which is your lotus, your mystic hand signs. That's why you have those things, because what they do, they seal the energy in the body. They redirect the energy in the body. They help you to redistribute the energy in the body. And they help you to project the energy if you need to project the energy, either within the aura or outside of the aura.
I think you already answered this question when you answered Bernard's question on seed mantras, but they're asking, do we have to chant the seed mantras? And how do you place the mantras in the chakra? Do you use your imagination?
In the beginning, you just chant the mantra. From your concentration will lead to contemplation. And when you can contemplate, you will see the mantra when you chant the mantra. You'll see the energy. And the energy, when you chant in the mantra, the energy follows a pattern. And the pattern will lead you to the psychic centers. I shouldn't tell you guys that, so.
It's too late now.
Do you know what the purpose of the building of the Great Pyramids in Egypt were for?
I mean, we're told that these were temples, these were universities, and they were power. They were power centers to assist mankind in shifting from one realm of existence to another realm of existence. So that's what we were told in the ancient teachings, and that most of the pyramids, they was dismantled many back in I think back during the days of Atlantis. They were actually the machines or the mechanisms within them was taken out so that mankind cannot use them anymore. And the pyramids are much older than what mankind think they are. And of course, now they have released the information that there's hundreds, maybe thousands of pyramids that was here on Earth. They have actually located hundreds and hundreds of pyramids across the world. On every continent, there was pyramids, and they were at the top of the pyramids. I think there's only one pyramid left with part of the crystal mechanism that topped off the pyramid that helped to do what it needed to be done, and that's in China. And now they actually release pictures of the pyramid with the crystal dome on it. So you can Google it and look it up.
That was photographed by Westerners.
I think so. I really don't know, but I know that they have video of the person flying over it, taking pictures of. Because for many years China did not let anyone fly over that area or take pictures. But now, the technology is so advanced, they can be way up in the sky and take a picture of it, Or they can have a satellite image come down as far as hundreds of feet to get a good picture. So, but yes, that's what the pyramids were. They were universities. They were portals to move man from. And I know during the days of Lemurius, when the spiritual hierarchy and the masters of Shambhala interacted with mankind more openly. The first set of pyramids that was used, where the students will go into the pyramids and they would be part of their consciousness would be transported to the city of Shambhala, where the leaders received instructions and lessons on how to teach mankind to move forward. And that's written in a lot of the ancient teachings. That's what the pyramids was used for. So therefore, they called them universities. They were a power source for mankind.
Okay, question. Do we know the number of members that are currently in the Great White Brotherhood? Who are these adept masters, and can we reach that level of initiation in one lifetime?
I don't think we know the number of the members of the Great White Brotherhood. We know that it's a small number, but I don't think we know the exact number. And it takes many, 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 many lifetimes to reach ascendant level. So if someone come to earth and they ascend, that means that they have been on that journey for many lifetimes.
Another question. What do you think about playing chess to enhance your mental faculties? It seems like a fun way to show people how to predetermine actions can be beneficial.
Chess is a good game to play. It helps with your concentration. I believe that. I was good friends with a person who was a grandmaster of chess for many years. I didn't like playing it because he would beat me all the time. So, but it's it is a good. That's if your intention is right. It helps you to concentrate. Checkers help you to concentrate too as well. But chess is a good game to help develop concentration.
How does one communicate with those on the spirit realm without the spirits communicating with the individual at random times?
it's best to refrain from trying to communicate with disconnected entities on the other rims, unless you are a very advanced person or advanced in telepathy and astral projection and in various forms of yoga. I don't know if you know people that do that, and they're not. They can be an example why you shouldn't do it. You have to advance yourself first, and before you begin to deal with stuff like that. And there's a positive way of if you're talking about mediumship, there's a positive way of doing it, and there's a negative way of doing this. The negative way, you can set a communication with the disconnected entities. Probably within 3 to 4 months, you can be communicating with them. But you open yourself up to a lot of danger, disease, all type of drama and affliction in your life. So, but the positive way, where you set up a barrier, you learn psychic self-defense, you energize yourself to a point, and you'll be able to point out and to see clearly danger. That's a more positive way, so that when you are communicating to disconnected entities, you will know the ones that can harm you or that you shouldn't come into contact with, and the ones that where you can heal them. You can offer them healing, they accept, and the ones that can help you advance and move forward.
What is the process of ascension step by step?
Who knows? We just know that we must develop ourselves through the rise of Kundalini. Now we know that once we can raise Kundalini easily up and down the spine within the auric structure, that once we can move the Kundalini from the Christ center to the crown chakra, then we know that as soon after that we can ascend, because that means that karmically we have met all our karmic lessons. That's most of the information that they give to the general public. So the process of the 8 limbs of yoga is very important at that point. And you can see the step by step there, but you have to, and also Tantra yoga. It's very important. But we have been given the following yogas to help us develop ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that's the Jnana yoga, the yoga of wisdom, Karma yoga, the yoga of right action, Bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion to the absolute or God, Raja yoga, the yoga of mental development, Hatha yoga, the yoga of physical development, Mantra yoga, the yoga of sound vibrations, Mudra yoga, the yoga of hand signs and manipulation of subtle energies, and Kra yoga, the yoga of synchronizing divine actions, and Tantra yoga, the yoga of looming all the yogas together, and then Kundalini yoga, the yoga of awakening consciousness, and then Laya yoga, the yoga of dissolution of consciousness. Those are the yogas given to us to develop ourselves. And that's our roadmap to ascension. Now, once we get into the moving Kundalini up into the Christ chakra, or the third eye, or Arjuna, and into the crown chakra, we really don't have specific information on that. We don't divulge the specific information on that.
Nehemiah, you said that it's really only until after you move past the Christ center fully into the crown that all of our karmic lessons will be learned. But I thought it was really after the throat center, considering that the throat center is the part of our involution where you are now dealing with embodied consciousness. And at that point, you know, free will steps into place and allows you to break away from the law, so to speak.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the throat center is the center of the masters. I mean, you can raise Kundalini using the power of contemplation to the sex center, to the solar plexus center, even to the heart center. But in order to move Kundalini to the throat center, you have to be able to meditate. You have to be able to go into a meditative state. Now, why? Because in that state, there's a huge purification point. But and in that state, you can leave Earth,
The ring past
and travel to other planets if you wanted to in a projected state. But it's you're still burning up negative karma even at the throat level. And once you take Kundalini to the Arjuna, to the Christ chakra, you become an avatar. And you have met most of your karmic lessons on this earth. And at any given time, you can burn up the thread that's keeping you here on this earth by moving the Kundalini up to the crown chakra. And that's what we're taught.
Okay, I got it.
Viper, earlier Nehemiah mentioned the 9 freedoms. I refer you back to that text as well. It does give the steps that we need to take, at least generally speaking, to lead up to ascension. Like Nehemiah mentioned earlier, bravery, love, service, enlightenment, cosmic consciousness, and ascension. And even in the 9 freedoms, Dr. King goes into an ascension process that he witnessed talks about that in the text as well. So you might find that interesting. So does semen retention play an important role in gathering energy for Kundalini, or gathering Kundalini energy?
Yeah, semen is one of the most potent physical and psychic energy of Kundalini. It's an aspect of Kundalini. And, when Kundalini is formed at the base of the spine, the energy of Kundalini is released with a sound vibration, the same way the absolute release the energy into the universe and creates the universe through sound. When the soul pushes the Shakti power in its full concentrated potency down to the base of the spine, and because the Muladhara chakra at the base of the spine is where it is, the natural reaction is that Shakti power goes into what they call a Shiva state, and then it releases the sound in that Shiva state the way Shiva does. And over 90% of the Kundalini goes into this dormant state, and it becomes the Shakti power goes into a dormant state, and now it's called Kundalini. At the same time, it blocks the door in which it came through to that state. But then it releases a energy, and that energy that it releases is the energy of Ida and Pandala. And that the energy that flows through Ida Pandala is Kundalini energy. And that Kundalini energy is spread out through the body in the pathways of the nadis. The nadis is the thing. The word nadi means a flow of energy. So semen is the result of that flow of energy. Because as that flow of energy maps itself in a matrix throughout the body, it bring about the 7 tissues. And the 8th tissue is semen, which is the essence of all the energy. So you must control Ojas, which is located in the brain, which falls down to your private what they call the sex center, but you must push this energy back up into the brain region, and you must control it, and this creates the pathway to allow you to unblock the many blockages that you have created over lifetimes, and to begin to control the power of Kundalini and rise the power of Kundalini through Shushumna.
There's a comment here. He's saying, I disagree with this line of thought. Retaining energy buildup is unnatural and needs to be released, like going to the loo or bathroom. It is also distracting, retaining too much energy.
Retaining what energy?
Seaman Ojas.
Where you go against all ancient teachings. All ancient teachings is not retaining, it's controlling. Because you take the energy and you raise it to a different vibration. So you are releasing the energy, but you're releasing it on the right plane of existence.
Yeah, but that transmutation process though, but doesn't the transmutation of that, the quote unquote release, the transmutation, isn't that really part of a positive feedback loop with your practices? So
Yeah.
that's the best way to release it, true or false?
Right. I mean, because the energy has failed, so you have to raise the energy back up to a higher level, and you use that energy in order to bring together the physical senses and the astral senses, which creates psychic senses. So that's the link. Remember, Kundalini is the vehicle of what? Consciousness. So part of your semen is part of your consciousness. So, but it helps to, when it falls, it helps to maintain and keep you dragging into the lower aspects of consciousness. When you rise, the reason for the Hatha Yoga, which is Hatha Yoga is actually the first stage of Kundalini Yoga. Hatha Yoga was a part of Kundalini Yoga. It is a part of Kundalini Yoga. And one of the things they tell you to do is to lock the body in these different positions. And it's mainly to tame the physical aspects of Kundalini, which is in the joints, in the fingers, in all the things that allow you to move. So you lock the body so that you decrease the energy, the physical energy, and increase the mental energy. One of the things they have you to do is stand on your head, because it drains the ojas, which is the thing that makes up the semen. It drains this ojas tissue down into the brain, back into the brain where it came from. So when you study sexual energy, you'll find that is mostly stimulated from the brain. So you release a lot of mental energy, which is a driving force in the body when you engage in sexual activity, or the release of sexual energy. So, I mean, that is the ancient teachings. I mean, that's a part of us.
Can you go into why slothfulness is like one of the worst sins ever, and how to will? Is it like turning desire into unwavering determination to succeed?
I don't understand. What is that? Sloth? What?
Slothfulness or laziness?
oh. Yeah, I mean, you should always, you should never allow laziness or lackadaisicalness to take you. I mean, you should always predetermine your actions, and you should always have forethought of where you're going or what you're going to do. That doesn't mean have forethought to sit up and watch TV all day or do nothing. You need to always have a plan to improve yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You should have a plan. Always making sure that all your thoughts and actions are useful towards the goal of doing something.
Gonna take a few more questions before we end out today's class. My medication is just about run out. Let's see. There's another comment. I do agree with controlling the sex energy and not being wasteful via pleasure seeking. But when you know you're neurotic and can no longer think clearly, then a release is overdue.
Control is control. There's nowhere getting around it. And if you want to reach certain heights, you have to bring about control. That's the first lesson in yoga, to gain control over the ojas. A lot of people don't like to promote that, but go back to all the ancient teachings, that's the first lesson. That doesn't mean that you can't have a family. You can have a family. But your goal is to control the sexual energy. Any other questions, or you can close out, or what?
Does not eating animals or milk or having a vegetarian diet help you with ascension? Says, I have not eaten animals for 6 years because I used to be 300 pounds and now I'm down to 187 and I feel energized. My psychic abilities are more active. So the question is, does having a vegetarian diet help you with achieving ascension?
Yeah, I mean, a serious yoga student refrain from eating meat. They don't eat meats. I never ate meat in my life. And my parents were vegetarians. They were yogis. And they taught us to do the same thing. There was no meat in the house. So vegetarianism is the pathway to go if you want to practice these things.
Okay, final question. How long does one have to stay barefooted on the earth to remain connected with it?
Barefooted with to the earth. Wow.
There's a practice called grounding where you stand barefoot on the, like on soil or on the earth.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They have to go back to that particular practice. There's many practices like that, but you can be connected. You are connected to the earth anyway. And, you know, you don't necessarily have to be physically. I mean, everything in your body came from the earth. Your Kundalini is an earth energy. It's an earth Kundalini energy. So when mankind was brought here, he was born through the logos of the earth. That's what the even in the mistranslated versions of the Bible or the Torah or the Old Testament, it states that that Adam was molded from the dirt. What actually that means that Adam came through the logos of the earth, and when we came through the logos of the earth, we were given the energy of the earth. When we go into cosmic consciousness, we go into the cosmic consciousness of this earth. So we are ever connected with the earth. Our org bodies, although we use the energy of the cosmos, our org body is synchronized by the energies of the earth. So, and we pull on that energy through the org body pulls on that energy through the sanction of the earth, because we're linked with the logos of this earth. So a lot of those exercises are done in that way in order to help synchronize our disbelief into belief. But the mystic side of it is the mystic side of it, which I'm telling you now.
Okay. With that, we'll close out this week's session. I won't go into the handouts today. I will save that for next week. But if you look in the Zoom folder, look in the class notes folder. In the description, there should be a link there on YouTube and also on our meetup invites in our emails. You'll see a link to the share folder. There's a diagram called prayer diagrams. And we'll start looking at that next week. Could someone from Zoom recite the New Lord's Prayer for me this weekend, today? I have some difficulty speaking. If not, I'll just put it up. We can recite it quietly to ourselves, or we'll just end class.
Janelle, can you do it?
The spiritual workers prayer.
The New Lord's Prayer, the modified one, we remove the mantra.
All right. New Lord's Prayer for divine and wondrous spirit. O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive through their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing, granted energy to sing on forever and forever.
All right, everyone, thank you for your attendance and your questions. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.